Have you ever been told you are being treated as a cattle of the state? Lexie was told that, and we're going to talk about it today. Come debrief with us. Hello, I'm Maggie, your host, and I'm here with Seth and Ethan, and we're debriefing pro-life outreach. Seth, what is your outreach highlight?
Well, you have me at that hook. I'm really intrigued by this story, but so sure, the highlight real quick. This is from Youngstown State University. We're doing open microphone there, and this is just an interesting conversation where this guy walked up to grab the microphone and said, okay, everyone listen up to me. I am the result of an abortion. When you hear that, I was like, okay, I'm intrigued by this, but I had seen this guy passing out condoms and dancing and doing weird things before, so I knew he wasn't like, born from a botched abortion where you'd think it like he'd be against abortion. Clearly a pro-abortion guy. But the crowd listened to him, really got quieted down. He said, okay, before I was created, my mom had a dead baby in her body, and that dead baby wasn't coming out. So what do? They pulled it out. What do you call it when you pull a baby out in any way, shape, or form from a woman? It's an abortion. Wrong. They're like, yay! Like, so you guys are against miscarriage care. I'm like, yeah, wrong. Exactly, Maggie. Why'd you say wrong? That's what I said too.
Abortion, when we use the word abortion, we're meaning elective abortion, meaning the intentional killing of a human being.
Yeah, exactly. I asked him, like, what procedure was it? Your mom had a D&C, D&E. He's like, well, I don't know. I wasn't there, which I guess is true, but he wouldn't have known, even if he had been an infant, he wouldn't have known. But, the point is that it's not the procedure. It's what you do with it, right? It's not the tool. It's the fact the tool is used to kill someone that is the problem. It's such a misconfusion and such misinformation that we are not against pulling dead babies out. If a mom has a dead baby in her, you got to pull it out or she'll get septic and die.
Yeah.
We just don't want to kill a baby before she comes out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's so frustrating. Things like this are the reason people are so confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, stop spreading this false stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you said you were intrigued by the hook. I know.
I am. More cattle now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was interesting. He was a little cray-cray. So, like, you can take everything he says with a grain of salt, but I mean, he did have an argument.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't completely just off in the head. So
we're holding out.
Yeah.
We'll judge later.
So this was at Planned Parenthood, the one we normally go to. This was soon before dear Lexie left. Oh, we miss you. We miss you, Lexie, if we didn't know. That's who I was talking to just then. Okay. So let's listen to the clip.
Do you like being a cattle of the state? Because that's what you're telling the state of Ohio.
Why is that?
Well, think of it this way. I'm Native American, okay? Do you know what the 3/5 compromise was?
Remind me again.
What that means is that the state gets to determine how much Native American you are. You know who gets stamped that way? Cattle. Do you know what you're allowing the state to do? Rule over your reproductive system as if you were cattle.
No, what we're doing is we're protecting baby girls and baby boys.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. Now think about this. If the state can rule over your reproductive system, notice that men aren't amongst that group.
Well, because men don't have the ability to carry children.
Oh, hang on a second. Well, that's a politically incorrect statement.
Oh, yeah. I love her just pause of confusion before she said that.
Well,
sometimes the pause is
babies.
Okay. Do y'all understand anything that just happened?
Yeah. Some.
I think I was tracking.
Okay. I love it when he says, I'm a Native American. Go watch the video on our Instagram.
I didn't gather that he was. I missed that.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's not racist, but he's white. I don't know if he could be a Native American.
Well,
but
yeah.
Well,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's another question for like his lineage, I suppose. But I mean the point is that I think there's still some historical misunderstanding there. The 3/5 compromise was dealing with people who were considered slaves and people who were black, and it's not about the state determining how much of an ethnicity you were necessarily. It's about how much representation they should have for counting votes.
Right.
So, but I think he was twisting it to a certain advantage of his own.
Wow. I'm glad you knew that because I had no idea what that was. Well, okay, so first question, opinion for the men. Are we women, I'm a woman, ourselves, Are we letting ourselves be cattle by standing against the killing of innocent humans?
This feels like a loaded question. Ethan, I defer.
Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say no.
Wow, I concur. I'm persuaded.
Okay, I actually agree with you on that.
Well, okay, I have the backing of the only woman in the room. I feel very empowered right now.
Okay, well, it's just so funny to me. Like, so I understand he's making a different argument, but I generally think of those who are, if you call someone a cattle, the ideas are not thinking for themselves, right? Or I guess his point is they're being used by the state. But those who are going against the mainstream thought of the day, it's hard to construe them as cattle because they're opposing the status quo. Yeah. You, Maggie, are opposing the status quo as a woman expected to be pro-abortion. You are not. You are not a cattle. I mean, it's also offensive to call you an animal, I think, but that's just me. I'm old-fashioned. Yeah. But so I wouldn't consider you a follower. You're someone who's opposing the status quo.
Yes. Okay, well.
There we go. Boom.
Not sure what else I'm supposed to add to that.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What's the difference between ruling over someone's reproductive system? That's what he thinks the state is doing. And us protecting, he thinks we're ruling over someone's reproductive system and protecting vulnerable preborn people. Does that make sense? I feel like I worded that a little weirdly.
Go ahead.
I think it makes sense. I feel like what he's trying to explain here is that if we oppose abortion, our society is going to revert into this sort of Handmaid's Tale dystopia where women are basically conception containers and incubators for babies used to just propagate offspring for the state.
Pause for a minute there, because I think this is unrelated but important to what you're saying for listeners who maybe don't spend as much time on college campuses as we do. I am shocked at how many people use that kind of language for women, incubators, hosts, dehumanizing language for women, and we keep saying, no, they are mothers. They are women with relationships. And so I think it's so funny that they want to allegedly avoid that dystopian world, but they speak about women and about pregnancy as this act of incubation and cold, sterile language. I think is very dehumanizing. So, but your point I think is well made, Ethan.
And it's just not true. We don't support anything akin to that at all. What we oppose is killing innocent people, no matter their stage of development.
Yeah. We're definitely against forced pregnancy, actually.
Yeah, that's another. Just where did that come from, right? Idea of forced pregnancy. I've never seen a single pro-lifer say, hey, you got to get pregnant right now.
Right.
Go get pregnant. Especially people who are young, unmarried. I've never heard a single one say, you know what, go get pregnant right now. That's a good idea. They don't do that, right?
Oftentimes we're like, if you aren't ready to have children, don't get pregnant. Like, do not.
We're about responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a totally different question of what to do once you're pregnant. It's different.
That's the whole. I think they act as if until some magical moment where that baby's acknowledged, there's not a pregnancy there. But that's just flatly, that's false. It's not real. The human is already there. We're asking, what do we do with that human once she is in existence?
Yeah. So this is something I wanted to bring up that this guy didn't seem to acknowledge or understand maybe that once a woman is pregnant, reproduction has already taken place.
Right.
He's kind of acting like you're ruling over your reproductive system like it hasn't happened yet. No, there's already a child there when you're pregnant. And that child should be protected. It's not ruling over your reproductive system to say you can't kill that kid.
I think we have to do a little bit of embryology here, or like not that, maybe some more just ontology or the way things work of what is in existence, because people view it as like an assembly line, right? So it's something's in works there, but they haven't finished reproducing a baby yet. They imagine it's like a car getting built on a conveyor belt system. And so someone puts the first few plates together. It's a long time coming, and eventually at the end, it turns into a car. That's when you have a car, right? We'd all agree that you don't have a car at the first moment where there are two plates welded together. It's not a car. That's two plates, right? So they would say, there's in development, but there's no baby's been created yet. We recognize that is not how living things reproduce. We come into existence at a moment in time, and then we develop on our own according to the kind of thing that we are. So the human is existence right away, and she's developing on her own. There's no outside builder building on a conveyor belt. So I think he misunderstands this. He sees babies being made like on a conveyor belt. That's just not how we do it. Right. Living things come into being and develop themselves. They're not built by outside builders with parts like a car.
Yeah, I think that's a helpful thing to explain, because sometimes I can get confused when people use the analogies that they do, like with a car. Yeah. But that I didn't realize make that connection until recently when you said something about how embryology, like the study of living things, is different than the study of things that actually do come to being gradually.
Yeah, you have like these artifacts, like the table we're at, the microphones, everything we're using. These are artifacts that come into existence slowly, piece by piece over time by an outside builder. Then you have living things that reproduce and procreate and create other living things that develop and grow on their own, needing nourishment, protection, but they're not built by an outside builder. Now, we know God sustains life, that's true, but that's not the same as having these other human or other beings on this earth that are creating it. That doesn't exist for living things.
Yeah. So on slightly a different note, he says, notice men aren't among that group, and he's talking about of people whose reproductive system the state is ruling over. So I think there's the reason, of course, that he says men aren't being ruled over their reproductive system, quote unquote, is because men can't get pregnant, they can't carry children, so they can't get an abortion.
That word right there, though, is like, I'm glad he said that because that's real, but you don't hear that much anymore, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
men?
on college campuses that men can't get pregnant. So, I mean, that's at least, this guy's closer to reality than a lot of students we meet, right?
Yeah.
He's at least admitting that men can't get pregnant. People would say today, people with uteruses can get pregnant, whether they're men or women.
Well,
right?
Lexie is the one who said that's because men can't get pregnant.
Oh, I see.
He's the one who said men are not in that group of people whose reproductive system is being ruled over. So it sounds like he is equating men's sperm to living things.
Which are they're parts of a living thing, right? Like your skin cells are part of you. But I would just say that the state does rule over men's reproductive systems. The state tells men what they may and may not do with their sexual organs. And I think that's a very good thing, right?
Yeah.
If the state would not allow a man to abuse a child, to rape another person, to whatever, these are good things the state should regulate, should ban those unjust actions.
Yeah, we prevent men from hurting people in specific ways. And I think the parallel is we should stop women from hurting people in specific ways. There are differences between men and women, even differences between how we are physically able to harm those around us. Unfortunately,
good point.
Women are able to get an abortion, something a man is not able to do, in which she can kill her child, while a man is able, to rape and pillage, and those things are more akin to men. So there are separate sins, and both of them are wrong, and people should not be allowed to hurt other people with their bodies.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't think of that before. Men have a strength, a physical strength that women don't have, so they're able to sin in this way that women usually don't or can't as easily. Women have the capability to bear children, which men don't, so they are able to sin in this way. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of it like that.
It's kind of old news, but along these lines, by the time this episode airs, it'll be old news. But Stephen King tweeted something recently that has been passing around the interwebs, right? And where he said that if men could get pregnant, remember this, that if men could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament. So his point is that if men were the ones who carried children, men would not be opposed to abortion as they currently are. What do you guys think about that statement? Because that's been passed around a lot right now.
It's just wrong. I mean, we would still be against it.
Yeah, I mean,
they would still be killing innocent children.
Wait, could you say if...
He's saying that if it were the men that got pregnant, there would not be opposition to abortion widespread. There would be instead widespread celebration, love of abortion. It would be actually a sacrament. Men are in charge, the powerful ones, and women are getting pregnant, so they're trying to oppress women by banning abortion. If men themselves were the ones who got pregnant, then they would not ban abortion. They would celebrate abortion as a holy sacrament.
I don't know, at least to me, that seems completely disconnected from reality. Yeah. And all of the men that I see at pro-abortion rallies, all of the politicians who drag their feet when it comes to passing pro-life legislation, at least from what I've seen, men love abortion and they don't get pregnant because it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
And maybe they would love it a little bit more if they were the ones getting pregnant, but I don't think there would be that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like literally is a sacrament right now to a lot of people. Like we just had this, I know it's like performance theater, but this Church of the Preborn or something, I can't remember what it was, like where it's like theater art, but she has like this altar and she's having people come watch abortion as part of a sacrament.
Gross.
It's really gross. But so, I mean, even if he was right that it would change the view of a lot of men, it doesn't change the reality of whether abortion is right or wrong, because it doesn't lie upon what any of us thinks about abortion. Abortion is wrong because it objectively kills innocent people, no matter what anyone thinks about it, man or woman, right? No matter what you think about Lexie or about anyone else, if you may call someone a cattle, it doesn't change the reality of what abortion actually does.
Yeah.
Intentionally killing innocent people, and that's always wrong.
Yeah, and both men and women oppose abortion right now.
Yeah.
It'd be the same way if men were able to get them. So
Yeah.
yeah, it just wouldn't change anything pretty much. Well, so again, about how he's basically equating men's sperm and like their reproductive systems with women's ability to get abortions. Am I saying that right? So he doesn't say it outright, but basically his argument is the same as those who say that vasectomies should be mandatory for men if abortion is not allowed for women. Even though those are kind of the opposite things. Like, we want pregnancies to continue until the baby is born at the right time, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And vasectomies would prevent pregnancies from happening. So am I making sense? I'm a little confused at myself actually right now.
So actually, I think this is a question I have for you, Seth, and that's kind of what you're saying. When talking to people on college campus, they will kind of bring up, well, do you support vasectomies for all men? Because that would stop all pregnancies.
It would stop society.
And stop society, but it would also stop abortion. So they're like, well, you should support this because it would be a much more effective means of stopping abortion, which is what you want, right? To me, I've always, when I've been asked that, to me, I've been very discombobulated and been like, not really sure I see the connection. But when you've been asked that, what is your response to that?
I think people don't understand what our goal is. We want a just society, right? Yeah. Mark Harrington, our president, has always reminded me that if we stop abortion, but he'll speak about the truth of the bigger picture, the worldview problem, the evil just crops its head up somewhere else. We saw this, right? You fight the Nazis in the Holocaust and set Jewish people free, and what happens? The evil is cropping up somewhere else, right? So we have eugenics imported to America, or actually I think it might have started in America, or whatever. We've shared it back and forth, right? I don't know history. All right, but here right now we have eugenics happening in America, killing babies, killing those with special needs in the womb, all kinds of things. It's terrible. So if we just save preborn babies from abortion, but don't advance human equality and the truth of that, we have not really won our battle. So yeah, I want fewer abortions for sure, but I don't want fewer abortions. I want the society to open its arms to people who are different and say, you know what, you may be different, but you still matter like I do. So I would say, first of all, it's getting vasectomies for men is missing the point of what we're trying to achieve. It would not guarantee that those men care at all for people. It would just mean they can't get people pregnant. So they might be abusing kids, killing toddlers, and that's still a problem for me, right? So it's not advancing what we want to advance here. And secondly, just a practical matter that vasectomies are not 100% proof. People still get pregnant with vasectomies. And so I'm not saying for that reason alone it's a bad idea. I think my first point is the more important one of what we're trying to actually achieve here. But I think if you're just trying to limit abortions, even that it would be fewer, but it wouldn't end all abortions. So you still have to ask the question, what do you do with unplanned pregnancies? Right. With babies you didn't plan to create? And our answer is still the same. And so if you just limit abortions but don't win that worldview question, when babies are still made, undoubtedly they'll still die. So we can't get around this bigger question of, is it right or wrong to purposefully kill innocent kids? You just cannot avoid that. And that's why throwing condoms left and right is not the answer either, right? That's not going to solve the problem. And I guess generally also, I don't think we should use unethical means to achieve an ethical goal, right? So my problem with passing condoms at left and right is that, number one, it doesn't protect a whole lot of sexually transmitted diseases like HPV. It has zero protections against your heart, and you have multiple sexual partners. That's not healthy for you. It's sinful, and so there's a problem there. And if we just force all men to get vasectomies, I guess I kind of believe in bodily autonomy, right? So I think that you have a right to your body. So I don't think we should just force men to have this procedure done to their bodies. Just like I don't think women should be forced to get pregnant because bodily autonomy.
Right. Good point. Y'all, we're the ones who are for bodily autonomy. Okay. Well, that's good. Thank you for your thoughts, Seth. That was helpful.
Just give me a soapbox. I'll start talking anytime.
Yes. We love it when Seth talks because he's smart. Okay. I like it at least. Okay. Anyway, we're at the end of this episode. So please go leave us a 5-star review when you're done listening to this. And share with all your friends.
Please do.
Remember that we are on YouTube now, so go check us out there, especially if you are someone who likes to listen to your stuff on YouTube. Thank you for debriefing with us, and let's do it again next week.